If you had the chance to snag a $10 million prize in the title of Best Assassin in the World, would you do it? And if you're stupid enough to say yes, how would you survive? I'm going to break down the mistakes made by our tournament champions, see if we can make better decisions, and ultimately attempt to beat the assassins in the tournament. Small town England has lived peacefully for too long. Middlesbrough, the arena for this year's Tournament of Assassins, is a middle-class industrial town off the tourist trail, full of the sort of people who toss their drunken priests out on the street and eat cream cakes for afternoon tea. If you're Father McAvoy, you spend your time using your priest's collar as a sort of pity badge and asking God why he hates you so much. Little does he know, the big guy hates him even more than he thinks. The real competitors in this game are scattered across the rest of this clueless, quaint city. They seem to have been told ahead of time that the tournament would take place here, that the game isn't restricted to the city limits, and that there's no limitations in terms of what the players can bring into the game. There appears to be no rules at all, save for one: kill or die. The night before the tournament begins, they all take a dose of bye-bye juice before ninja surgeons creep into the rooms and implant tracking devices into their abdomens. This tracking information is available to all the players at any time. The players have 24 hours to exterminate their competition, or the tracking devices will explode. While we don't get a rundown of all 30 assassins and their special skills, Master of Ceremonies, Powers, introduces us to a few fan favorites. Lai Lai Zen, the best assassin in Asia for the last 3 years, who grew up killing for the Chinese Triad. The odds for her start at 10 to 1. Anton Bogart, a stealthy French assassin and parkour expert. His odds start at 9 to 1. Yuri Petrov, a Russian special forces all-rounder who kills without mercy. His odds start at 12 to 1. Miles Slade, a wild card psychopath from Texas, with odds that start at 25 to 1. And Joshua Harlow, a champion who won the last tournament 7 years ago and who has returned to find the killer who murdered his pregnant wife. He's given legacy odds of 2 to 1. Unbeknownst to Powers, there's also a sixth special contender, Father McAvoy, that pitiful alcoholic priest who's about to have the worst day of his life. Is it just me, or does this feel like a soulless Mortal Kombat? Where's Johnny Cage to liven things up a bit?
Those are $500 sunglasses, asshole.
Look, we obviously know this tournament starts way before the game actually begins. You wouldn't bring a saber to a pistol duel, and we're not showing up to this thing with anything less than a full arsenal at our disposal. The players knew the game would take place in Middlesbrough. We don't know how much lead time they had, but if they had any at all, I'd find a map of the town and begin using Street View to look for choke points, defensive positions, and the best sniper placement. To make it easier on myself, I would also place weapons in strategic places around the city. That way, if I run out of ammo or lose a gun, I'm only a few blocks away from a reload. Same as the tactics in the most dangerous game. I might also scour the city for human-sized metal boxes that I could use to block the GPS signal coming from my tracking device. It'd be the perfect place to ambush a fellow player when they're chasing us, by stepping inside, disappearing from their tracking screen, and then using that cover to shoot them in the head while they're confused. Strategy number 2. We're coming into the game with our own gear. Maybe we don't go full Splinter Cell with it, but close. We're talking a Honey Badger PDW with a 9-inch barrel with suppressor and 300 black, and night vision goggles to ambush targets in the dark when we're going to be doing most of our killing. The EOTech HWS 300 blackout with a 2-dot reticle will allow us to still make precise distance shots with either sub or supersonic ammo, and a 3x flip magnifier. With an IR laser mounted on a rifle, we can target other assassins using our night vision goggles, and they would have no idea we're there. For our secondary, the Logo Alien with a suppressor and microdot. We'll also want a mounted light that gives off at least 1200 lumens. It has the ability to strobe for close quarters combat. We'll also want to carry a few 9-bang flashbang grenades, which, as the name implies, sets off 9 flashbangs. We'll want to tie a chem light to it, which we can crack before throwing to magnify the light output and get everyone staring at it so you can kill them while they're distracted. Don't forget to pick up some electronic hearing protection as well. Going deaf mid-tournament's gonna cut our odds down significantly. We can also prep the gear we're wearing, like the lightweight Cry Precision JPC 2.0 plate carrier with a 4 NIG plate in the front and back, which can take a single armor-piercing round up to a 30-06. To cover our head, we can wear a Protection Group Denmark Arc Level 3A ballistic helmet, which is rated up to a 44 Magnum and should stop almost any pistol shot, so long as Agent Smith isn't lurking anywhere nearby with his 50 AE. The downside to all this prep is twofold. First, it's expensive, running you well over $100,000. Of course, that's only 1% of the ultimate prize money. As they say, you gotta spend spend money to make money, and as a world-famous assassin, we would have that kind of scratch lying around. The second problem is that you'll stand out dressed like an extra from Black Hawk Down, and this is England. Anyone with a gun is gonna stand out, which is where carefully planted weapons caches could come in handy. The tournament begins with 24 hours remaining. A knock at the door wakes Lili. Her tracker locates one hostile outside. Gun drawn, she advances and blocks the people with a do not disturb sign, then opens the door to find the room service outside. It must be amateur hour because she misses the assassin crawling through the open window behind her. He attacks from behind with a garrote, because this is definitely a video game where one Y press results in a secured kill animation. Lili narrowly avoids getting her head sawed off, but wastes her ammo popping off shots beside his head. She gets the upper hand, then uses his own garrote to slice off his fingers, then single shots him between the eyes in the bathroom. That's one assassin down, 29 to go. Lili's lucky it went her way and her attacker thought bringing piano wire to a gunfight was a good idea. Call me paranoid, but if I know I'm going to wake up with the target on my back, my nighttime ritual is gonna look like I'm barricading a bunker for a zombie apocalypse. At the very least, I'm rigging a Home Alone style flamethrower trap on the windows, just in case. Lili wakes up after this other assassin, meaning that the sedative she took wasn't specifically calibrated to wake up all the assassins at the same time. One early riser in this competition could knock out a few contenders before they even wake up. Maybe my mind goes to cheating way too early, but in this situation, I might take half a dose of bye-bye juice and pour the rest down the drain. One very annoying wake-up call or alarm later, and we have an early bird advantage to track down the closest targets and shoot them in their sleep. We can't have brain fog when it's mano a mano. As soon as we wake up, we're gonna want to slam some emotional damage to counteract that nighty-night juice hangover. Who knew a neglected childhood and PTSD tasted like strawberry and peach? Delicious. Maybe your parents did acknowledge your existence, but women still don't. I have just the thing for you. Kaho's guilty pleasure. It's like a girlfriend in powder form. Use code UNBEATEN. The first thing we want to do when we wake up is strap that GPS tracker showing everyone else's locations to the underside of our support shooting arm like it's a Pip-Boy from Fallout. Lili had no need to open her hotel door. Instead, she should have tracked the dot's movement on the GPS screen as he came around the building and then shot him when he entered her window. Speaking of trackers, a sniper and a chubby assassin in a car track Anton to a coffee and eggs diner where he slips into the bathroom and slices the tracker out of his gut. On the Game Master screens, this registers him as dying, until he flicks the tracker into a steaming fresh pot of coffee and watches Father McAvoy swallow it down whole. Anton's dot reappears on the GPS trackers while he slips out onto the street, essentially invisible. Good God, this Anton guy came to play. I respect that. Removing the tracker is a calculated risk. Everyone here save Joshua is a first-time tournament champion, so we don't know if removing the implant will disqualify us. Having said that, when the only rule is kill or die, why not tempt fate and see what happens? Low-jacking the priest is a brilliant strategy if it works. Anton lucks out that Father McAvoy didn't feel that metal pill before he swallowed. Giving the other assassins a wild human goose to chase so he can sneak up and kill them is genius. However, Father McAvoy is unpredictable, and if he gets killed, we have to fish that implant out of his body before we're taken off the leaderboard. I would go for a more predictable option. We could get a thermos full of hot coffee and put the tracker in there. Then we could lay a bait trap for the other players and bring the killers to us rather than playing Where's Waldo in a city the size of Providence, Rhode Island. To lay the trap, we could find a narrow dead-end alleyway with the snipers perch above. Place the thermos around the corner, forcing assassins to fully enter the dead end, then pick off anyone who comes hunting. We need to be sneaky about this though, as a tracker beacon sitting unmoving in an alley looks like a trap. If we can tie a string to it and slowly pull it, giving the appearance that we're moving in a direction, it'll make the trap more convincing. As Anton anticipated, the hungover priest eventually leaves the diner, where the sniper and chubby car killer target him as a fellow player. The sniper one-shots our competition in the car, but hesitates to take collateral damage when the priest stops to talk to somebody. Stealth player Anton sneaks out behind her and snaps her neck before stealing her gun and following the priest. That's 3 of our assassins out of the game, with 27 and the hapless priest remaining. Sniping targets is a strong strategy for winning this game, if we don't lie out in the open like a baby seal waiting to get clubbed. Did she forget that literally every player knows she's up there? Where's the defensive positioning, early warning detection systems, traps, or any cover whatsoever? If her head wasn't up her scopes Since she had a tracker on her forearm like we mentioned, and spammed it like she had OCD, she wouldn't have ended up looking down at her own ass. If we're gonna go as the ranged player for this game, we're picking a secure location, like a concrete room with a single access point attackers will have to use to engage us. Across that access point, we're laying down a tripwire rigged with tin cans or glass bottles so we can hear them coming. We'll want to be far enough back that someone can't flashbang us or grenade us, as well as a thermal scope so people can't smoke us out. Honestly, you could hold up in your perch until the end of the whole tournament and pick off the last player who has to come to you to win the game. If they don't, they're gonna die anyways. To that point, if nobody shows up and it's almost the end of the game, you might as well just cut the tracker out so you don't explode. Lili follows Anton's tracker to a church where she sneaks up on Father McAvoy praying at the altar. The location gives Father McAvoy a +5 plot armor buff, delaying her from shooting him immediately. The church doors implode. It's a distraction as Yuri the Russian cartwheels through a nearby window and tosses a grenade. Lili taps it back to his side with a bullet before more grenades fill the church. Yuri advances on Father McAvoy, taunting him and giving Lili just enough time to disarm him. Yuri spots a holy water fountain and tries to drown Lili in it. The quibbling priest barely manages to distract him. Lili tosses Yuri back, revealing she pulled a grenade pin on his jacket. Yuri explodes. That's 4 assassins eliminated, with 26 and the priest left to go. Afterward, Lili sees Father McAvoy doesn't have an implant scar. She decides she has to protect him until the implant passes through his system. This is like a Skyrim quest to kill a dragon that gets derailed by an orphan. Who knew cold-blooded contract killers had hearts of gold? At the end of this whole thing, I'm sure we'll learn the real treasure was the plot-armored abandoned puppy we found along the way. It's during this church fight you start to realize all of your competitors are drama club kids who got into killing to pay for Juilliard. Father McAvoy should be dead, like super dead. If I see a man with the tracker kneeling facing away from me, I'm just shooting him before he even turns around. This is a fight to the death. For all you know, he's kneeling with a gun aimed at your head under the folds of his dress. Distraction is one of, if not the most important strategies in a game like this. And Yuri, what the f are you doing? Distracting with an explosion only to make all the noise in the world coming through the window? You know what else would have worked? Tossing in a few more live grenades, then pieing the corner like we did in Rattlesnake. 2 shots and we're done here. Once the church is full of smoke, he wastes the distraction again to slowly pull up on the priest instead of blowing him away at a distance. Same dipshit award goes to Lili. She shoots Yuri's gun instead of his face. Why? Why do you want to fight a Russian hand to hand? Honestly, half the killers on this tournament roster could be taken out while they're wasting valuable distractions. You know who's not wasting distractions? Our legacy player, Joshua Hawley. Across town, he draws a killer named Cusack into a darkened parking garage and peppers him with questions about who among the assassins group killed his wife. Cusack tells him he heard about the kill from the rodeo psycho, Miles Slade. Cusack spots someone waiting nearby and sneaks up to discover it's just a pair of empty shoes. A cleverly laid trap by Joshua, who appears behind him and shoots Cusack at point-blank range. That's 5 assassins down, with 25 players and the priest still on the board. No one ever said a contract killer had to be smart. Cusack, supposedly one of the top 30 assassins in the world, gets taken out by the old look down, pie to the face trick. Over in the rail yard, Texas creep Miles Slade finishes off a 6th assassin and takes a finger trophy before killing a dog for kicks. He then moseys into the busiest gentleman's club this side of Amsterdam. Back with Lili and the priest, she calls into the game masters and warns Powers about Father McAvoy's tracker. Powers doesn't give a shit. Suddenly, a truck barrels down on the phone booth they're in. They narrowly leap out as the truck crashes and catches fire. Father McAvoy gets drawn in by the female assassin. Siren screams for help. It's a trap. She pulls a gun on him, just as Lili shoots her in the head. That brings us to 7 assassins down, with 23 in the priest remaining. At this point, these assassins seem a little extra to me. It feels like you could pick them off by pointing into the distance, waiting for them to look that way, and shooting them in the head. A vehicle could be a cool weapon in the game if you have impeccable timing, which this assassin does not. 20 seconds earlier, while Lili was on the phone, charging through the booth would have almost been a sure thing. The problem with the vehicle is that it's bulky. It's a massive moving target for gunfire and, well, it can crash into a fiery inferno with the wrong twist of the wheel. She'd been better off speeding away after the first attack failed. This female assassin in the car has terrible timing again when she screams for help, and instead of letting him pull her out, she pulls the gun while still in the burning car. Yeah, because because that's gonna work out well for you. As for Lili, she needs to get her head in the fucking game. Even if she's decided to carry Father McAvoy to the finish line, this assassin in the car is tournament competition. Go over to the car and finish her off before the angel on McAvoy's shoulder gets him killed. Lili prioritizes debugging the priest in an alleyway. She watches the GPS screen but misses two approaching competitors, trackerless Anton on the roof above them with a sniper rifle, and a killer cosplaying as a cop who pulls up in a squad car and paints Father McAvoy with a scope laser. Lucky for the priest, every player has a nifty catchphrase and a trigger finger with a 3-second delay. Anton removes the cop from the game, bringing us to 8 dead slayers with 22 mercs and 1 priest remaining. Powers has even put Father McAvoy on the board with 500 to 1 odds, so he's got that going for him at least. Seriously though, disguise is a strategy that feels deeply underused here. Dressing up as a priest or cop is a 4D chess move that we could exploit to full victory. It's likely this killer killed a cop and took his rig early in the day. If we had chosen this strategy in our create a player screen before the tournament began, we could own this game. The priest outfit is better for a stealth playthrough and probably easier overall, while the cop lets you open carry in plain daylight, giving us a faster draw. An advantage if you don't squander it missing your shots. With the MP5 he has, he should have lifted the weapon while still in the car and shot through the windshield, mowing Father and Lili down before they even knew it hit them. There's no need to paint on a laser effect at this distance. Just fire. Save your catchphrases for after you kill them. Lili and the Father commandeer the cop car as Anton somersaults off like he's auditioning for Underworld and chases the reversing vehicle. He lands on the hood and cements his MVP status by riding the front bumper when Lili goes to run over him. Hope the Game Master's got all that on camera. Look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. If another player could do all this and he was invisible on the only tracking gadget I had, I'd reprioritize my gameplay stat. Anton is our immediate priority. The tracking screen on our GPS device is small and doesn't seem to be adjustable. I would pull into a nearby field to test the range it actually shows, then make it look like I've abandoned the priest, cut out my own tracking device, put it in a thermos, then hide it just out of range of the tracking screen window and wait for Anton to come. Back at the Gentleman's Club, Miles uses a girl as cover to watch the room. Turns out there's 9 players clustered in this club, apparently ignoring the tournament completely. Miles spots a guy with a gun and blasts him with the business end of his shotty. Pandemonium erupts. Miles starts firing, taking out club entertainments and other players alike. One player sneaks up on him with a knife and receives a lead enema for his troubles. Miles takes cover behind an upturned table and sends another player flying. Other assassins get in on the bloodbath, and Tony Montana even shows up for a cameo. It's all blood and body parts until Joshua walks in. He uses another player as a human shield and picks off the other posers one by one until Miles is left standing. Oh, Miles and this killer cosplaying as a stripper who leaps onto Joshua's back and plunges a dagger into his neck. Miles riddles Joshua with lead, then kills the stripper. 8 players were eliminated from the tournament in this location, giving us 14 players and the priest still in play. Let's just take a moment to admire the sheer stupidity of this club scene. Why were a solid third of the players chilling out in this bar? Why enter the tournament at all if you're just looking for tail and tequila? It's almost dark out, meaning half the game's over. I would not recommend entering a den of killers. Definitely not to sit in a corner and wait until you notice somebody with a gun. What sort of passive gameplay is this? We came to kill some friends and win that dough, not live out a regular Tuesday night back home. If we're going in, we're cutting the power off to the building first by looking for the main breaker, normally located by the building entrance, and shutting it off. Then we're tossing a 9-bang flashbang grenade in with a chem light attached to it. This will disorient our targets. After that, we're going in with the strobe light attached to our gun, disorienting them further and allowing us to pick the others off one by one with 2 controlled shots to the chest and 1 to the head. If we aren't going inside, which is obviously the smarter choice here, we have a few fun options. The first is to rig a delay on a 9-bang grenade, then toss it into the main room and let the other players pick each other off until only 1 is left, at which point we mop up and nail the straggler in the forehead as they leave the building. Or we could simply back off into an elevated position that has overwatch over the Gentleman's Club and play cleanup crew after the bloodbath eventually kicks off. Or just set the building on fire, make sure to soak all the exits heavily to make it hard to escape, and then anyone who does escape will just get a love tap from our honey badger. First place is looking closer by the second. Joshua wakes up tied to a pole in the Gentleman's Club. Miles plays with his food until until Joshua asks why Miles killed his wife. Miles finishes off a leftover player as Joshua cuts through his binds. Miles returns and cuts off Joshua's finger and admits he didn't kill his wife. Lili did it. As Miles goes to smoke his cigar, Joshua asks for a drink. When Miles' lighter flicks on, Joshua spits the booze all over Miles, setting him on fire. Miles escapes through a hatch in the floor. Joshua steals a set of keys that happen to belong to a gas tanker and takes off into the night. Joshua's only alive here because Miles is crazy. Any other player would have double tapped him when he fell to the floor. The fire breathing was awesome, but remember, the death match doesn't give extra points for originality. Without a shot of booze and a loose screw, Joshua dies here and now. Eventually, only 6 players remain: Anton, Joshua, Lili, Father McAvoy, Miles, and one other rando player named Karl Topazov. Lili pulls over for X-Lax at the convenience store for Father McAvoy's situation, but before he can get rid of the tracker, McAvoy gets jumped by Miles. Lili ejects Texas from the car and tosses him through the glass doors of the gas station. Sure, she could, I don't know, shoot him while he's distracted in the car? Maybe Lili's bored or something. Miles gets Lili in a chokehold, but the instinct to monologue is just too hardwired into him. He tells her Joshua's coming for her. She's about to finish him off when Father McAvoy begs her not to shoot, cause of course. And she lowers the weapon as Miles suddenly screams in pain and the tracker device inside him explodes, splattering his guts across the store. Powers reminds him of this with a quick phone call, warning McAvoy that there can only be one tournament winner. If more than one player is still alive in 4 hours, the trackers will kill everybody. Joshua's revenge rampage continues as he barrels towards the convenience store where Lili's busy trying to talk McAvoy into crapping his tracker out. Topazov comes into the gas station parking lot hot with a rocket launcher, only to get crushed by an oncoming double-deck bus. His death drops us into the top 4 position, but his rocket launcher totals Lili's getaway car. With Joshua on fast approach, bulldozing obstacles in his way, Lili and the priest steal the double-decker and all the human cargo inside. Joshua parallels the bus and fires off shotgun blasts. Lili shoots him in the arm, making it difficult for him to return fire. Whatever will he do? Oh, right. This is why the bus was a spectacularly stupid choice. Why die by gunshot when you can get ejected from a speeding vehicle, soar through the air like an eagle, and pancake on hot asphalt as a gas tank explodes on top of you? Taking a smaller car would probably inspire Anton to leap onto the gas tanker rather than her tinier target, and he could get rid of Joshua for us. Back in the bus, the fight goes about as well as expected. Anton leaps off an overpass to join the fray. Lili fires at the roof, but Anton swings in through the back window, drop kicking her to the floor. Come on, Lili. You knew the way you were shooting. There was only one possible entry point for him to take. This is like holding somebody at gunpoint within gun-grabbing range. A few steps back, and you could have shot his ass off the bus. They engage in hand-to-hand combat while Joshua rams them with the tanker again and again. Anton eventually gets the upper hand and kicks Lili out the window. Father McAvoy narrowly opens the bus door for her before Joshua can turn her into jelly. Lili forgets her vow to avoid killing innocents and starts blasting through the ceiling. Anton fires through the floor too. He dives out the back window and swings down to meet Lili. Both are now out of bullets. The priest suddenly slams on the brakes, letting Joshua ram into the back of the bus and crushing Anton off the winner's board. Father McAvoy finally pukes up his tracker, knocking the players down to our final 2, Lili and Joshua. Lili and Father McAvoy stumble their way to a random church in the countryside instead of, I don't know, cutting the tracker out of Lili's abdomen to end the game. With less than 2 minutes left on the tournament clock, Joshua somehow acquires the ability to apparate anywhere silently and puts a knife to Lili's throat. She doesn't bother fighting. He demands a confession for the murder of his wife. She reveals that Powers put a bounty on the wife to force him back into the tournament. Classic. With seconds to spare, Joshua delivers the killing blow. Back at HQ, Joshua's greeted with champagne at his winning ceremony. He throws his glass at Powers, then zombie walks across the table. Apparently, Powers has the laxest security team in the world. With the confidence of a 1%er, Powers lets Joshua get within strangling range. Joshua wraps his arm around Powers' neck, pops Lili's tracker into Powers' mouth, and murder-suicides his way into second place. Honestly, Joshua came to the game wanting to get his pound of flesh, and then take himself out, so he got everything he really wanted here. If it were me and I wanted to kill Powers, I would have probably just played along, and then gone in for the handshake like Dr. King Schultz. Otherwise, just take the win, wait a day or two, and then catch Powers in a private residence and take your time exacting revenge, like Marky Mark and Shooter. If I were this lady, I'd be looking for the nearest duffel bag right about now. Ultimately, I think the assassins from the tournament were beaten. Moral of the story, say your catchphrase after you've killed and teabagged your target.